Got the homemade fountain going. Yeah, back in the early 90s, I definitely liked all the grunge icons of grunge, you know, Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains, and Soundgarden and Nirvana, of course. Other bands like Screaming Trees and Stone Temple Pilots were kind of popular back then as well. And when I started watching MTV 120 Minutes, and one band kind of resonated with me, and I thought this is kind of unique, this is different. You know, they were kind of like blues, soul mixed with punk rock and Jimi Hendrix style, you know, psychedelic kind of 70s rock. I thought they had a great sound, and they're called the Afghan Whigs. Found out that they started out in the mid to late 80s. And then they had this album called Gentleman, came out in '93. It was their first big commercial album, if you will. So, you know, the song Debonair was all over MTV, and I was like, this is... One day I'm just talking to my brother, and I was like, hey man, you heard this band, the Afghan Whigs? And he's like, bro, come on. He's like, they're from Cincinnati. You didn't know that? I was like, no. Now to this day, there's bands like My Chemical Romance and Jimmy Eat World and bands like that that say that Afghan Whigs were really a big influence on them. And you know, I talk about like the 6 degrees of separation. Well, it's kind of sort of like that. Like I mentioned, you know, my brother was living in Cincinnati at the time, and he did 4 years in the Marines, and then he got out and then went back home, got a job there, was trying to do classes and stuff, and he was hanging out a lot of places, trying to get his music thing going too. He's a great guitarist. And so one of his good friends, Mike Sullivan, probably his best friend, was playing in a band in Oxford, Ohio, called Day for Night. And they would open sometimes for Afghan Whigs, or share a bill, or play the similar venues that they played in the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area back then. So I knew nothing of this because I was overseas. And when I came back, you know, things had changed, of course, after being 4 years in Germany and stuff like that. So I didn't know any of this was going on, but he kind of filled me in sometimes. And so my dad hears me and my brother talking about the Afghan Whigs, and he's like, is that Dooley boy that went to Ross High School? Like, what? How does my whole family know about this? And I'm like, you know, 6 years behind everything on this group. So just thought that was funny. Me personally, at the time, I was in the Air Force. I was trying to be a single parent at the time, and you know, I had my daughter go back and forth between Cincinnati and New Jersey, where I lived, and it's tough. So I just want to say shout out to all the single military parents and all the military to military couples that are raising kids, because I know it's not easy. It's not as easy as if you were to have a non-military civilian spouse. So just big shout out for the single parents overall. All right. That's a long way around that. Okay. So I think I've covered now probably at least 6 songs from the Afghan Whigs. one of my favorite alternative bands of all time. I've seen them live a few times. Last time they came to Seattle, I did see them. So hope you enjoyed this little talk about the Afghan Whigs. And man, I'm enjoying this weather out here in the Pacific Northwest. So peace out, be good to each other.